Hey guys, Boomfish TCG here, back at it again with another video. This is part of our deck tutorial series. I'm going to be trying to make more of a playlist of it when it comes to you actually learning how the deck functions. And in this special case, we're going to be taking a look at Dirt. So in this situation, we're just going to run through a few games so you can learn optimal play lines. They're going to go second, so that means they're going to have 3 Evo points to start with. We'll draw our opening hand and see what's up. We're going up against Ward Haven specifically, but again, Haven has so many different options you can't really guess as to what you're going up against. As to our opening hand, we certainly have some of the more powerful Earthright cards we're looking for. Ancient Alchemist is a good start. Ceridwen definitely is up there. Sweet Tooth Medusa is fine. The only issue I'm seeing here is we don't have access to a lot of stack cards. So that means we're going to have to draw into it. We're going first, so it's not great. I think we might be able to justify keeping this, but our opponent is going to keep their hand. Turn 1. We're going to start off with Witch's Cauldron, so we take a look at the top 4 and grab an Earthright. We ended up hitting Ceridwen. We already have one in our hand, so I think it's best to have diverse options here. Grab a Riley. We just pass turn. Turn 1 for our opponent. They don't really have a turn 1 option, so pass turn. And we don't really have a turn 2 option, so things are just great. Draw. And this is part of the reason why I didn't really want to keep my hand with not a lot of stack generation, because that's what creates your flexibility in your early turns. We have almost 4 of the most powerful cards in our deck in our hand, so we can't really be mad. Our opponents play Amethyst Lion. So this looks to be more of a Storm Ward, an aggro version of Haven. With Storm, they're going to swing at our face for 2, and they're going to pass turn. It's a stack card. It's not any of the cheap ones that we play, but sometimes that's what you need to get. Again, are in a pretty sticky situation, so we have a few options here. Either we can be really aggressive and play the Ancient Alchemist. Going first, it's a lot worse of a play than going second. It's still kind of risky, but nothing else really gets us any sort of benefit, so it'd either be that or drawing some cards with Riley. I don't think we really care about the damage this is going to create. I think we'll go with the Ancient Alchemist this time. So that's going to create the Guard Forms and send this to the grave. Always want to keep note that stack cards inherently have a number 1 on them. People get used to it. Opponent's going to start their turn. They're simply just going to play Amethyst Lion. It's not fantastic for them. Visually, we've already taken 2 damage, and this is going to be 5 more, so 7 damage total is... They're not exactly creating that much momentum with this, and with our next turn, considering they're not getting rid of Ancient Alchemist, I think we can stabilize. We go down to 13. They're floating the 1 mana. I guess they just don't really have an efficient hand. My turn's going to start. Draw. That's good. Summoning Drills is definitely one of the cards we want to see right now, but not going to be able to take advantage of it this turn. We have a pretty straightforward option. We're going to Evo the Ancient Alchemist. With this, it's going to reduce all of our Golem followers, so specifically the Guard Forms. They're going to cost 1 less to play, and every time that happens, you either get a chance to burn a creature or the enemy leader. Because we've taken so much damage, we're definitely just going to try and get rid of one of these Amethyst Lions. We only have 1 mana available to us, so we're just going to play one of these guys up. We're going to ping this one for 3 damage, and because we evoed Ancient Alchemist has Rush, I'm going to swing this here. This is dead, and our guy's alive on 4 health. And you don't always have to ward a card when you play it. Sometimes it's better to not do so, but because Ancient Alchemist is such a high value target, we're going to do our best to prevent it from dying. Ward up the Guard Form Golem, pass turn. Angel of the Iron Steed. So this is going to create a artifact token. Mystic artifact specifically, that just draws them. It's a fairly passive play. They're kind of just stuck in a very bad spot here where Ancient Alchemist, because we forced it early and because it didn't get removed, this card can very easily end games by itself. Looks like they're just going to double ward up here, just trying to prevent the future damage, but turn 5's coming around, which is usually a really good spot for Dirt. Playing Summoning Drills. It's going to, so for 2 mana, we discard a follower from our hand to activate. We're going to activate both effects here. Either summoning the Guard Form Golem or doing the optional effect of discarding to put a Strike Form. Because we want the grave resources, we discarded the Riley, but you definitely don't have to. This is going to create another one of these guys, and then it's going to put one of the Strike Forms in the EX zone. Now all of them get buffed by 1 attack. As we mentioned, this inherently has 1 counter on it, but it's not always represented. And this guy is going to be at 3 attack as well. So So because we just put in a golem, we get to use the burn effective. So we're going to target something on the field or the leader and burn them for 3. I think we're still in the board control spot of this deck. So we're going to be spending the 3 damage here on the Mystic Artifact, blowing it up. And because the golem followers are still reduced by 1, we're going to play the Strike Form Golem up for 1. So we're down to 2 mana. And it triggers again, not a hard once per turn, ladies and gentlemen. Target the enemy leader, burn for 3. They're down to 17. We're going to swing our Strike Form Golem into, or the Angel of the Iron Steed. It's because it's got Rush and is 4, so it's basically a perfect answer here. They're both going to trade. And because we created the space, we're going to move up another one of these guys, another Guard Form Golem. We're going to burn them in the face. And then because this Guard Form Golem and the Ancient Alchemist were already on the field, we get to commit to swinging at them for 6 total damage. This was a ridiculous turn. If you take a look at the enemy's life, that was a 12 damage swing in 1 turn. That's not how Ward Haven works. They're going to have something in the way usually, but with Ancient Alchemist, you just get to ignore all of that. We're still really ahead on board. Because Ancient Alchemist is so broken, we're just going to ward all our guys up and prevent that from taking any damage, unless it's an effect. Who knows, man? Maybe they just have a crazy hand. Their turn's going to start. I think they might have had a pretty good out here. They're going to play Jeanne d'Arc. We're just going back to set 2 here. Jeanne d'Arc versus Ancient Alchemist. Who would have thought? So Jeanne d'Arc comes out. It's going to deal 2 damage to our whole board. And now they're going to use one of their Evo points, Evoing the Jeanne d'Arc. And this is going to deal another 2 damage. And if they had other followers, they'd get buffed. So our whole board's cleared. All they have is a 4/5 and no wards. So they're still not in the best situation. But they came back. Anywho, that's for their whole turn. It is pretty expensive to do that board clear, and a lot of them are in our favor. Unfortunately for the opponent, we have access to a lot of different options, including Riley from the Grave. If you pay 6, you're able to use its Earthright effect, and it gets Storm. Earthright, specifically when it gets revived from the graveyard, has all 3 effects, all 3 of its potential effects that you get access. Draw 2 cards, gain 3 attack, and deal 5 damage to something. So if we wanted to, we could just pressure. They're at 8 life, that'd put them down to 2. It's pretty tempting. I'm just going to consider the other options here. We could play it a little bit safe with Ceridwen and just keep that around for the future. Tough call. But I do like the idea of the card draw, so we're just going to play it simple. Pay 6, play the Riley from the graveyard using the stacks, so this is going to go to the grave. I'm going to target this, deal 5 damage. We're going to draw 2. It's going to gain 3 attack, and because it got Storm when it was revived off the grave effect, we're just going to hit them in the face for 6, putting them in a really bad spot. And honestly, man, like, maybe they have it. We're going to have to discard 1 card from our hand because we're at hand size limit. Honestly, I think we're just going to discard another Riley. Unless they hit the nuts here and they're able to set up a really crazy board, we have access to playing one of our 1 mana stacks and just doing the exact same play again. So in order for them to prevent that, they would need 2 wards, which when it comes to this deck, that's not hard. But they would have to put up both of those wards and kill the Riley. Not easy. So we pass and see what happens. Well, that could be it. So they're going to play Wilbert. Take a look at the top 5 and see if they hit a good ward. This deck does require a little bit of luck, unfortunately, and doesn't seem like they hit it. So they're going to add to their hand, or summon to the field, Ruby Falcon. They get to Evo it? Yeah, just paying outright. They're going to Evo the Ruby Falcon, and what they get to do is they get to ping something for 2, but unfortunately for them, that does not kill our Riley. So the only option they really have access to is just trading. So they're going to ping it for 2, trade the Ruby Falcon into our Riley, killing it, banishing it, importantly, and now they're just going to ward the Wilbert and pray we're stupid or got very unlucky. Draw for turn, and unfortunately for them, we're not dumb. So we're going to play the Teachings of Creation for 1, draw the 1 card, and we're just going to do the exact same play as last. Bringing this out to field for 6 mana, Earthright, pinging this for 5. We took 1 damage last turn for the Wilbert effect, and now we're taking another because he has a secondary effect to burn you whenever a ward on their side of the field is put into the grave. It does include itself, amazingly. We drew our cards, swing at their face, go down to 0, it's game over. So that's at least game 1. We had a rough start, but things kind of came together in the end. We're not able to get rid of our Ancient Alchemist, luckily. If they were, we were probably in a not nearly as good of a situation. It single-handedly created a 12 damage swing, so hugely in our favor, but, you know, we'll do a rematch and see how things go.